Please welcome to High Performance, Sam Heughan. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. I thought you were talking about someone else there.
Only you. Only talking about you.
He sounds great. Yeah.
Let's start as we always do, Sam. What is, in your mind, high performance?
I guess it's reaching like sort of the maximum potential of whatever industry you're in, but also as a human being as well. I guess it's from, it's an interesting one because, a lot of your guests are athletes, but it's interesting that, a lot of what they talk about is sort of not only the sort of physical side, but the mental side as well. And I guess relating that to an actor is almost, we're athletes in a way. We're probably booze hounds more like, but we have to sort of maintain a peak performance, I guess, in our field.
So do you see yourself as high performance? Because you're totally right. When we have sporting people on, they see themselves as high performance. There's no doubt in their minds because they have to believe that to achieve. Business people, very different. Actors, maybe it is different. So do you consider yourself a high performance performer?
It is a really interesting question because I guess years ago I probably wouldn't. I just think I'm kind of doing this. I'm doing this for the love of it, but I would have never seen myself in a peak or a high bracket. But I guess you have to operate, as I said, as an actor in so many different fields. It's not just learning lines. It's like depending on the role, you have to test yourself in various ways, whether it's physically, as I said, like you have to, get ripped or put on size or muscle or whatever, or get into the mind of a character, or learn a skill, that is synonymous with the character. So I guess in a way, but it's really hard to define what makes a successful actor, I guess.
So how do you go about measuring it then, Sam?
I mean, some people, I guess, might measure it through, fame or fortune or popularity. But for me, I guess I'm never content, probably. That's one thing to say. I'm probably my own critic. So do I ever think I've done that well? Probably not. But in hindsight, I guess after time, you look back and go, okay, yeah, I can see where I've come from and where I've got to now. So in that sense, I might reward myself. But no, I never see that I've really done that well.
It's interesting that though, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people listening to this, they see looking at success from the outside in as goal oriented. So they think that, if I end up with a TV series, then I've achieved well. If it's as successful as Outlander, I've done really well. If I end up on SES Rise of the Black Swan, even better. All these marks that you've managed to hit in your career. But I think that it's only when you're in it that you realise it isn't really about the goals, because sometimes they can leave you feeling cold. It's more about the approach, the application, and possibly the journey rather than the destination, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to coin that phrase, isn't it? It is about the journey. And I think, okay, so maybe a sportsman, has the Olympics or whatever, to become first, to get the world record. But I guess as an actor, there's just so much more to learn, I guess. Each character teaches you a little bit about yourself as well as learning about the character. But also there are so many infinite avenues to understand about the human condition, but also, I guess in my case, it's not just acting roles, but it's, I can become my own boss, I can become an entrepreneur, I can do all of these creative things, which I find are rewarding. So yeah, I guess it's about the journey, and I think sometimes we forget that.
So can we go to the start of your journey then, Sam? Because it's a...
Yeah, where is that?
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's like you had quite an eclectic childhood in terms of you moved around a little bit, you went to different schools. Would you tell us a little bit about how those experiences have shaped what you do today? Yeah,
I think so. I was born and brought up in southwest Scotland, in a very rural area, son of my mother is an artist. My dad kind of disappeared off the scene very, very early on, at a very young age. So I wasn't really aware of him growing up. And then I moved to Edinburgh as a teenager, which was sort of for me like the bright lights of the city. And I went to this kind of interesting school, which is called a Rudolf Steiner School, or I think people might know it's a Montessori.
Yep.
It's a very popular in Germany. It's the only kind of private school you can go to. But at the time, you know, my mother was, you know, obviously a single parent and struggling to bring up two children. So fortunately we got assisted place through the government. And I think that's probably where I learned that I wanted to become an actor. I think it's a very well-rounded education. You don't, it's not specifically very academic. You do a lot more. You study philosophy, you study astronomy, you study, you know, history, everything. But they just give you a broader understanding and maybe hopefully sort of develop the child's character per se a little more. So I think at that point I realized that I didn't need to go into, you know, a more traditional job, and it just gave me I guess I don't know, like a sense of freedom that I could kind of do anything if I wanted to.
I read a quote saying you were fascinated with being an actor when you were at school,
Yeah.
but didn't actually think you could do it.
Yeah.
When did that change then? When did you actually realise you can control your own destiny?
Well, I was rubbish. I mean, I was absolutely useless.
As an actor?
As
or
an actor,
just generally?
yeah, I was terrible. And who knows, probably still am. But I think, you know, I'd done a bit at school and I went into a youth theatre at the time and was lucky to sort of be in some small productions. But I think there was always one moment. I think that I had a moment where I was in a play and the audience were laughing, and I got them, and it was such a buzz. They were with me, and at that very moment when I was like, I stopped. I was like, oh my God, they're with me. They're laughing. I've got this. Then I completely dried and didn't know where I was and lost it. But that moment was so, I guess, magical and so exhilarating. I thought, yeah, I think I understand this now. And I guess from that point on, I sort of let go a bit, I think, if that makes sense. Sort of didn't try so hard and just let it happen, which I think also goes back to maybe athletes and stuff as well. You know, you train so hard at something, but if you try too hard, you're going to fail. But if you sort of let yourself go, you know you've done the training, you've done the homework, then it works. You just...
So you